I was born and raised in South Carolina. Aiken County is where I'm from, and it's Beach Island, South Carolina is where I grew up. I spent a lot of time on the Savannah River. I grew up on the river. I know everything about the river. I knew where alligators hid, frogs hid, you name it, I knew it. As a child, I experienced a lot of abuse from my father and witnessed other abuse. While on the chain gang with my father in 1964, I saw a show on TV at the prison at the chain gang with Bruce Lee. And I knew then that's what I'm going to have to do to protect my siblings from being beaten and stuff. I started studying martial arts. I happened to have a child psychologist named Robert Fletcher who happened to know Kimco and Tang Sudo. So he introduced me to what is known then as empty hand. And he noticed that I was extremely good for a 9-year-old. And he introduced me to some people, Master Wayne Frey and other people who took an interest in me because of my ability to read people. I knew from my early childhood, I knew how to read people. They lied to you. Come on, we go over here. We got horses and stuff like that. And you get there, there's no horses. You learn how to read people's body language, eye movement, and everything. I could do that in combat. Even as a kid, 9 years old, I was able to do that in combat. I fought 16-year-olds the age of 10 and was putting them on their bus. So I was pretty good. And my photos and my books and stuff, you can see the shape I was in. You had to build your body like a temple. Your body is your temple. Whatever you put in it, that's what you get out of it. I went on and met other people, and I looked up and happened to meet Grandmaster Ed Parker, Sr. And Ed Parker, Sr., he took a hell of an interest in me. And Dave German, Moses Powell out of New York, and other people hop in the martial art range. And I just got really good in martial arts. I tried to join the Army Rangers in Fort Gordon, and they said I had some type of low scoring on reading and writing because I was dyslexic. But they sent me at the time to Fayetteville, North Carolina, up at Fort Bragg, and put me in a special program. I got out of the program because I didn't like it. It was something like the Brotherhood of the Rose. And so I went about, traveled the United States, went up to California, met people in Hollywood. I spent a lot of time there. And then I went to other places, Canada, just traveling the United States. And then in 1977, we were on Hollywood Boulevard. It's a Friday night. We have no money. And this guy that I was with had friends come by the event and say, hey, let's go. We're going to go party, go to a party. And I was 18 years old. And I said, okay, we're going to go to a party. So I get in the van and I go with these guys on the party. And we didn't have enough money. So we went out and picked up male prostitutes. And I didn't know any better. And we took their money. And one of the guys that was in there, that was in the van on our side, rubbed his penis on this guy's face and threw him out on the road. And everybody there was charged with, I think we were charged with forcible copulation. Then we were put in jail. We stayed in jail for 4 years in LA County Jail. And while I was in jail, I met Lieutenant Michael Rupert. He was a drug enforcement officer. And he recruited me into an operation known as Boomerang. And okay, we got fights out here right now. See, this is how bad this place has been getting. Right now we got fights. Anyway, I want to back up. Just for a minute and go back to 1969. They put me in South Carolina Department of Mental Retardation because my father tied me to the tree. They got busted. I was tied to a tree with the dogs for about 6 months, and Health and Human Services caught them. If you see Psychic's confession, you can see my mother. She comes on there and she says it's a sad thing, but it's true. The social services knew things were bad, but they didn't know they were leaving me there. I had to sleep in the chicken coop at night and to keep warm. But at night, I learned how to pick locks, and I'd go down to the river area and then come back and lock myself up the next morning. But still, I was confined all day. I turned to that. And rather than And the social worker at Woodin Village says, it was the lesser of the two evils. Either I go to a state institution or I go to South Carolina Department of Mental Retardation because I'm not borderline mentally retarded is what they told me. I wasn't. I had a hell of a childhood. Justice, all kind of stuff. So they took me, all this can be confirmed with documents that we have available. So they put me in Woodin Village in Clinton, South Carolina. I stayed there for 9 years, 10 years. That's where I met Robert Flux. He was my child psychologist. I went there from age 9 to age 15. Okay? And when they released me, then of course, that's when I did the traveling and studying martial arts, different places. But getting back to the LA County, I'm sorry for jumping around like that.
No, it's okay.
30 minutes. I did the 4 years in the county jail. While in jail, I'm getting fights with James Hydrick, who's the BGF general, and I didn't know that. And I had a fight on the third floor chow hall. Me and a guy named Virgil Kimmy took out about 16 goon squads, took their equipment from them because they were abusing us, slapping us around. It was Virgil Kimmy who they slapped. I just happened to be there when it happened, and he happened to be a good friend of mine. And I just helped him. We were good friends because we had something in common. We both studied tempo. And we didn't know that it was going to turn out. We were scared, but we came out on top. We didn't get prosecuted for that, but we made some friends with the LAPD at the time, including Sheriff Peter J. Pitches, who took an interest in me. After the incident between me and Doc Holliday, James Holliday, they moved me to the Hall of Justice jail, which is where I met Lieutenant Michael Rupert. He was involved with exposing the CIA on the Iran-Contra affair with the drugs, cocaine being introduced to the United States through the Crips and the Bloods. He recruited me and got me involved with Operation Boomerang, and then it's eventually turned into Pegasus, Operation Pegasus in 82, 84 Operation Watchtower, which is the incident in ODB in El Salvador area on the Tigris River, where my friends were killed because of bad intel. Me, Chinko, and Bo Grips, these are people that were involved in some of these operations, decided that we were going to not go on any more operations. And we just flew front of it. This thing could have been avoided, but they screwed us over. And it seemed like it was intentional, just the way everything went down. And in 88, I go back to South Carolina, prepare for the battle in Atlanta with Joe Corley. I did a breakdown there, and Ed Parker contacted me and said, hey, Joe tells me you did a breakdown there, 50, 60 something inches of concrete. And yeah, he said, can you do that up here? And I said, I've been working on a 100-inch concrete break. And he says, if you do up here, I'll make you a millionaire. So I prepared in Atlanta, got everything together. He paid for me to come out to Huntington Beach. I stayed in Huntington Beach, prepared for the 25th silver anniversary of the Ed Parker's International Karate Championship. And I did a break 89 inches. Some of the bricks was broken. After that, I made it on the cover of Inside Kung Fu. I had already been on Kung Fu magazines before. I'm just giving you a brief synopsis. And anyway, so after that, somehow someone got information about a concerted effort to coordinate me, Ricky Ross, Michael Rupert, and Gary to get involved with maybe coming up with documents to show that we need to be reimbursed for this incident in El Salvador, in Nicaragua. And we couldn't coordinate anything right at the time, but I wanted to leaving California, staying in California, and I used connections I knew about in El Salvador and Nicaragua to make extra money. It was just fun inside. It had nothing to do with a criminal mentality. I've always needed something adventurous to do. And that was, even though it was stupid what I did, I ran cocaine through Huntington Beach, and they were busting all of our adult runners. So rather than use adult runners, stupidly picked kids. street kids that were street smart, knew the alleys, knew everything about in and out. They were small enough to get in and out of holes and areas where adults couldn't. So it was easier for them to avoid police. And so what I did was I ran drugs for a while, about 6 months. And then once I realized they started tapping our lines and doing surveillance on us, to had intel on that from the inside the DEA, and it stopped. And I told the kids, look, here's your number for you. Paid them all like $5,000 a piece, and there was 4 of them. And one of the managers was, I'm not going to say his name, but he's one of the ones that came forward just recently with a letter to the court saying that he lied. I was accused of child molestation, or not molestation, but lewd touching, which is massages or something like inappropriately touching, which I did not do. They sent me to jail for that, Orange County Jail. They tried to extradite me from Georgia. I left and went to Georgia. I went to Georgia first. First I did the Sally Jesse Raphael's show in New Haven, Connecticut. Then went to Georgia. So they found out I was in Georgia, and they sent a team down there to pick me up, the Extradition Corporation of America. And Extradition Corporation of America tried to extradite me from Georgia back to California, and they got into Arkansas. They happened to they tried to drop me off at Sheriff King's jail in Clarksville, Arkansas. Now, Sheriff King was pretty good sheriff. Fair amount. He said, "Well, let's see your warrant." So we looked at the warrant, said, "Okay, I need a copy of that. We'll hold it there." And then after they left, Sheriff King come and talked to me, and he said, "What's going on here? This doesn't, I know who you are. This doesn't seem like something." I said, and when I ran it down to him and everything, he said, "Let me do some checking on this." So he tagged Rock, talked to somebody there, and they checked and said, "Wait a minute, that warrant number ain't even active. That's not even an active warrant number. It's not valid." So Sheriff King ends up getting a court order to release me. And you'll check the papers in Arkansas back in 1980, December of 88. You'll see all the hoopla about what happened. Bill Clinton was the governor at that time. He told California, tried to send bounty hunters down to get me. Clinton got on national television and said, "You send bounty hunters to my state, you're going to send them back to your body bags." That's a fact. So I got out of detention, political attention on this case, so they had to find me guilty. And what they did, they put me in that Orange County Jail. And they took to the court first time, and there's media everywhere. And there's that famous picture where you see me like this and stuff. That was picture went around the world everywhere. So when I get back to the jail, they have me meet with a doctor named Richard Joyce, an only doctor for forced medicating people. He come and talk to me about 5 minutes. He's a pretty dangerous person. And you got all kind of abilities and stuff. And plus, you participated in various escapes and things like that. You have a locking devices and things like that most people don't have. I think you're a threat to the jail and my officers. I'm going to have to medicate you until your court thing for their protection and yours. And there was really nothing I could do about it. They forced medicated me. Sent about 20 deputies in there, held me down and injected me with 40 milligrams of Haldol, and then I think Cojet. And for the next 6 months, I'm being injected 3 days for every court time. But that was after I pleaded not guilty. And my attorney, Jerome Goldfein, said, "You need to cooperate with us and plead to this case because they got you." I said, "They got someone around me. Somebody's telling them to say this because I didn't do it. We need you to plead guilty." And I said, "I'm not going to plead guilty. What I want is another attorney." So I go to court thinking I was going to get an attorney, and I didn't. They wanted the doctor to examine me, and that's when he says, "Oh, you're a danger, you're a threat, I'm going to medicate you, you're going to court, so you don't escape." And next thing you know, the doctor and my attorney is getting me to change my plea from not guilty to guilty. As soon as I change my plea to guilty, the medication stopped. So here's this little kids. They've already had egg on their face because their warrant was destroyed and everything. And Sheriff King says, "Look, this man stayed with my family, my kids, and everything. And if he was a child molester or anything like that, there would have been some evidence or something." Anyway, I wound up getting 17 years in prison. I did 10 years of that 17 years. Now, while this is all going on, nobody told me about a civil commitment. It didn't even exist. The SVP law didn't even exist when this crime was supposed to happen. And the SVP law didn't even exist when they sentenced it. So 10 years after my sentence, the SVP law came into effect. I'm in a Tascadero, in Folsom State Prison, from Pelican Bay, Folsom, all those places. Pelican Bay State Prison, I did 4 years in SHU up there. They tried to kill me 3 times. Look at that right here. I ended up having to kill an inmate in prison for stabbing me in the neck and forearm. I wind up getting out, and rather than get out, my wife comes to pick me up. My wife died of bone marrow cancer on May 17th, 2000. I winded up getting out. Died shortly thereafter. I went to Tascadero, and I stayed there for 10 years, fighting the law under Hydrick versus Hunter. And then they transferred us from there to Coalinga, which is right near the Coalinga State Hospital, but it's really shallow prison. And here, ever since I've been here, it took them 18 years to get me to a civil trial. 18 years to get me to a civil trial. When it's only supposed to take them a year. I had 2 jury trials. I had one trial that says, no, he's not guilty. He doesn't meet the criteria. He does not really meet the criteria for SVP placement. The DA almost fell out of her seat. The judge goes like this on camera. I mean, right there. Everybody saw it. See, the judge and the DA were both shocked with the jury verdict. So they ordered a retrial, and this time they brought the victims in. They even brought in the one victim who just recently sent a letter to the court saying he lied. He's the prosecution's key witness. Or G. And they started doing their evidence. We couldn't present the same evidence we presented in the first trial. The judge did it. Judge Duffy. Jacqueline Duffy and this was very important. And so what happened after that is they whittled our case down, but we couldn't show any video performances, meeting our kids and stuff, and my reaction and behavior around it, or anything to do with showing good character or anything. They brought the victims in with pictures of them, and they were underage. The trial went for 18 days or something like 18 days. They went into deliberations for 5 days, come out and said, I meet the criteria. It's all over. I'm here for the rest of my life. There, at this facility, there is no treatment. The treatment they do have treatment. But these are the people who are treating us. Like, these health behavior specialists he was one of my facilitators here. Because I'm in the group. Who was like, that's his job and for sodomizing a child. Then you have these guys, this was a staff member here who brings in child pornography. You have a patient here, good friend of mine, CJ. He was used by Department of Police Services. They brought him in drugs and phones to sell to the patients. And he videotaped himself. You can go around on the blog that Jen did, and you can see the video where he talks about how the DPS got him working as a confident informant, and he turned it against them. When he did that, they sent him to prison. Right now, in the newspapers around California, we have...
It's upset.
No, it's not here.
Oh.
We have violence at state hospital takes toll on staffing levels. But what they don't say is how the violence is being out there. That most of the violence that has taken place is done through because they're not de-escalating or some. We got good staff members here. Don't get me wrong, but we have a lot of staff members, as cited on a blog, who say we need to be executed, we need to be castrated, and we don't deserve the air that we breathe. Those are staff members who some work here, and this place is a sterile dungeon. It is not a place that is therapeutic. I've been here 15 years. What mental health treatment takes 15 years to get to to solve whatever mental health issue you have. I have a case now going before the courts with this victim who came forward and said the DEA and detectives talked him into lying. He said he told him before I was going to court that he lied, and he says it doesn't matter. He pleaded guilty already. He told him in 88 that he lied, and they told him it doesn't matter. He pleaded guilty. Now he's coming forward in court and telling them, look, you guys still got this man locked up on a lie. And he's saying, God will never forgive me. I'm a Christian now. I got to get this off my chest. This man didn't do anything to me like that. I ran drugs for him, yeah, but you didn't charge him with drug running. You charged him with something that I said he did that he didn't do. And I said he did it because you told me to say he did.
Is that information public about the new trial?
Not yet. Because it's still in the first developing stage. They've already deposed him. They're doing the letters to Scott Taylor is my attorney out of San Luis Obispo. It's called a Taylor Defense Firm. You can look him up. He's the one appointed to my case. Rudy Kraft out of San Luis Obispo will be the attorney who will be taking it to trial for me because he was my appellate attorney and he made all kind of mistakes. Let me tell you something. The attorney who represented me at my civil trial, his name was Raymond Allen. He was a really good attorney, real good. He did a hell of a job on the first trial. Something happened after he won that first trial between the first trial and the second, because his whole method of how he was representing me changed. He didn't question the victims. And I told him, question the victims. You can get them to admit that they lied and why they lied. He never did it. It was like he was forbidden from questioning them. And when I talked with him on the phone a couple of weeks ago, he says, that is a tactical decision that I am still regretting to this day, especially in light of this victim coming forward. I should have listened to you.
We have 4 minutes left. And the one part that there's a gap that I would like for you to fill in really quick is when you got out of the hospital. I'm so sorry to hear about your wife, but you got out. How did you end up there?
They took me straight from the prison to the hospital.
So you didn't even get to see your wife?
No.
Why did they take you straight to the hospital when you were released from prison? Or was that part of the deal?
No, that's not part of the deal. The retroactively applied the SVP law to me without due process. I knew nothing about the SVP.
That sounds very familiar with what happens at MSOP. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Continue.
it's terrible. We can continue this on another time, but here's the thing. This is a terrible place, a very dangerous place. We got issues on this unit right now with people running around beating up old men, extorting money out of them, tearing up their. I got my property hidden. I have to make devices to protect myself with. If staff hands are tied, they can't do nothing. The program and administrations are the ones that keep putting these dangerous individuals on this unit. Look, the SVP law is bad, but they are dangerous individuals that still need something. They need some taken care of. But they shouldn't be taking these youngsters and bringing them on a unit. I'm on a medical unit, and we shouldn't be exposed to this threat of harm 24/7. And we got patients being beaten up bad on this unit. And something needs to be done. And this is something we need to continue on.
Is it true that you refused any type of treatment?
I've refused treatment for the last 20, 30 years because there is no exit in their treatment protocol, their curriculum. It's just, it's a scam. It's a big scam for money. $388,000 a year it costs to keep it. Where's that money going? I'm not getting it.
No.
I'm not getting it. Yeah. But I started treatment in January for the first time.
How's that going?
I have to prove that going through this treatment ain't gonna get you out. There's people that's been in treatment for 18 years and they ain't got out yet. How am I gonna get out ahead of?
Yeah.
It's not gonna get you out. You look at this place from the inside. They need an oversight committee at this facility to see what's going on. I really do. There's We've had 45 deaths at this facility in the last 2 years. 45. It's the highest mortality rate in the state of any institution, both prison and hospital.
Before this closes, I want you to finish with this. What does Jen mean to you?
Jen is wonderful. She is my girlfriend. She's been helping me all along. She's just unbelievable. She means everything to me.
Anything else you want to say before they cut you off?
Just to pay attention to these civil commitments. If you want to get a good example of what this place is, look at the Minority Report with Tom Cruise. The Minority Report. It's pre-crime detention. How are you going to lock someone up for a crime they might commit in the future? That's what they're doing here. They're not locking me up for a crime I committed. I already served my time for that. They're locking me up in punitive conditions for a crime I might commit in the future. Locking you up on a hunch that you might commit a crime in the future. And the state evaluators, that's another thing. It's terrible. We'll continue this another time.
Yes, sir. James, thank you, sir. God bless you, man.
Welcome.